Hey beautiful people, what is up? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So for today's video, I thought I would do a Chatty get ready with me, testing out some new to me products. I'm going to be playing in my Grwm today. I hate saying that because it just sounds so pretentious sometimes. Anyways, I did end up picking up a couple of the new Grwm products. Honestly, Grwm is a brand that I have been quite interested in ever since they always looked really cute, and then I went to Nordstrom with a couple of girlfriends and swatched a couple of products, and I was like, oh, okay. Now, the thing about Grwm is that they are not cheap. They are probably at the same price of like Tom Ford, so especially in their quads. So I did pick up one of their face quads off of eCosmetics. I was able to get it for 25% off, but these quads retail for $85, so they're not cheap at all. Comes in a box. It does have a nice dust bag similar to like Tom Ford, Chanel, all of those luxury brands. The dust bag does say Grwm as well. And these, I don't necessarily keep them because it just makes it take longer to get to the actual makeups, right? So it is a beautiful sort of gold metal packaging that's not necessarily the easiest to open. There we go. And this is the quad. This one is Royal Jungle. It's a very basic neutral quad. You do get two little, those makeup brushes that no one uses. But here we go. Here is the quad without the packaging around it. Like, it's just beautiful. So, I picked that up. And the other product that I have with me, well, I guess I should say two more products, is the Prisme Libre blush. This is in the shade number 6, which I thought that this was going to be a little bit bigger, but I'm actually quite excited that it's this small. So you get the nice mirrored packaging, and the blush is actually like 4 shades of powder, and you can mix it together to get a really nice blush shade. So here you go, you can see better there. So this is shade number 6. And then lastly, I do have my Grwm Meteorites, which is what I'm going to use to finish my face today. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm going to be putting on my face. For the chat to get ready with me, I thought I would talk about something I've been saying that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, but never actually did. And I wanted to talk about my Lasik journey. So this video is essentially going to be the truth about Lasik, because I have mentioned it a few times. I've complained about it a couple of times as well, but I thought it would just be helpful to come give you guys a little bit of deets, the goods, bad, all of that fun jazz around my Lasik journey. Couple of disclaimers. I'm not a doctor. I have no expertise in this. So if you're interested in Lasik, if you want to do anything with your vision, please go see a professional. Please go see your own optometrist, your specialist, whatever it is, before you make any decisions, okay? Just saying. Don't base it off of my experience. All right. No. I also want to apologize if my energy is a little bit low today because, I don't know, I've been not feeling it all week. I have had zero interest in filming all week, and that's not typical for me. So I don't know what it is, but something's off. But I'm going to try to keep it a little bit upbeat. All right. Per usual, I'm not going to talk through this because it's all about, the conversation. But all of the product details will be linked down below. Okay. Anyways, so the reason why I figured now is the time for me to actually talk about my Lasik journey is because I went to the optometrist yesterday. It's my first time going in about 2 years. So I needed to go to get my eyes tested for a couple of reasons. One, it's just really important to get your eyes tested annually. That's part of your health. And 2, I have why is that so stiff? I have a history of eye disease in my family. Everybody in my family wears glasses. So knowing that it is very common for us to be in glasses and have other eye diseases, taking care of my eyes is something that's been very important to me. So let me just start from the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here. No, seriously. Let me just start from, the top, where I talk a little bit about my history I'm sorry, I can't speak today. I'm going to start from the top, telling you guys sort of like my journey with needing glasses, wearing glasses, my eye health, all of that, and then how we ended up here. So, for as long as I can remember, I have been visually impaired. And I say that because I really can't remember the first time I started wearing glasses. So, as you all know, I'm born and raised from Trinidad and Tobago, grew up there, and one of the things that we had in school, because when I was in primary school, I started primary school earlier, like I was a year earlier than I should have been in primary school, and when we sit in class, we're usually arranged by height. Like, you line up for class by height, you sit by height. So I was always at the front of the class because I was the shortest, and I don't think I ever really noticed that I couldn't see until it got really bad, where it was like I'm at the front of the class and I'm still struggling to see the board. So that was like my first kind of foray into, oh, okay, you need glasses. So I ended up getting glasses, I want to say around the age of like 9, maybe 10, and I've had it ever since. I'm not entirely sure why, but I'm struggling with this matte shade. It could be that I'm using not necessarily the best brushes. All of these brushes that I've been using today are like synthetic, because all my brushes are, well, they're not dirty. I did wash them. I guess I just haven't like put them back where they're supposed to be. But this doesn't want to pick up, like, at all. What in the... And this is what that shade looks like. I think I'm just using the wrong brush. So like I said, I got glasses at the age of, I want to say like 9, 10. So honestly, the vast majority of my life, I've been wearing glasses. It's been a part of me for as long as I could remember. Now, I didn't necessarily mind having to wear glasses as a kid because I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't think it was nerdy or anything like that. You know how like some people are like, ew, or whatever? I loved it. I absolutely loved glasses. What I did not like is the fact that I had to wear glasses all the time. And, you know, the minute you take it off, like, you can't see. And you need your glasses to find your glasses. It just became something that I was dependent on, and I absolutely hated that. I also hated the fact that I could not wear sunglasses. It was just not a thing for me. Now, you're probably watching this and thinking, well, why didn't you just get contacts? Here's the thing. I tried. I did. When I moved to the US, so at this point I was 18, so I had never like thought about contacts while I was in Trinidad, because it was just like, I had always been hesitant about having to stick anything in my eye. But moving to the US, you know, I got a little bit of courage, and I was like, let me give it a try. So I tried to get contacts when I was in America, and it was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. Okay, that's very dramatic, so I will like walk that back a little bit. But it was not a pleasant experience for me, because I just realized I don't like things in my eyes. And when I tell you I could feel the contacts like constantly, I could. And this eye look is not about to be doing anything. I can already tell. It's about to be hella basic, so I apologize. So like I was saying, I tried to get contacts, but it didn't work. And I'm saying try to get it as in like, I actually did get it. So I went in, I took the test, and I ended up getting a new pair of glasses and contacts because I thought I would try it out. And as a part of the process for contacts, they give you a couple different ones to try. And I had the ones that I believe you change out like every week or every 2 weeks or whatever it is. And I absolutely hated those. From what I recall, those were a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier, because they were meant to last longer. And I could feel it on my eyeball constantly. It was extremely painful. It was just not comfortable at all. So eventually, after kind of like rotating through a couple different brands, a couple different types, they settled in on the dailies. The dailies were meant to be the most comfortable type of contact lens, because you wear them for that day and you toss it out. It was like a fresh pair every single day. So in theory, it should not affect me the way in which the others did. And yes, it was the most comfortable of the, you know, all that I had tried, but it also was not that comfortable. And I still felt very uncomfortable using the dailies. And by that, I mean, it was something that I could feel throughout the day constantly. So I found myself constantly thinking about contacts because I felt it. I could feel it. And you know that feeling you get when you have like sand in your eye or something, or like a eyelash that's stuck in your eye? That's what it felt like. So it was like constantly bothering me. And nobody wants to spend their entire day thinking about what is in their eyes. So I knew that contacts weren't for me. I actually ended up wasting a ton of those contacts because like I had bought a pair of glasses as well, and I just wore my glasses, and I ended up having to toss most of those dailies because I was like, I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing this to be in pain. Okay, so the eyes are pretty much done. Very, very simple. I'm not mad at this. It's very everyday friendly, but it's very simple. So I think I was saying I had gotten contacts and I absolutely hated it. And funny story, I'll tell you guys about the moment when I knew that it just wasn't for me. So I had gotten contacts, and one of the things that the optometrist said is that you kind of have to give your eyes time to, you know, settle in with it. There was like an entire period where I had to practice wearing contacts, getting gradually longer over time. So I'd wear it for X amount of hours a day, and then the next day I'd wear it for like X more. So like say I would wear it for 5 hours one day, then it'd be 6 hours the next day, then 7 hours the next day. So there was an adjustment period, but my eyes never adjusted. My eyes was uncomfortable the entire time. And I remember this very distinctly because I was like, okay, Jesus, I hear you. You don't want me putting this in my eye. But I was wearing contacts. It was uncomfortable as it always was. And I was on the highway driving. My mom was in the car next to me. And it was, again, very uncomfortable. So I was blinking. I was just like, oh, this is annoying. And I blinked one contact directly out of my eye. All I felt was like, boop. So now I'm on the highway driving, and I can only see out of one eye. And I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. And that was probably the last time I wore contacts, because I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'll just wear glasses. I'm okay with it. I am fine and dandy. I'm done with it. So once that happened, I had kind of put the thought of contacts out of my eye. And I just kind of went about my life wearing glasses per usual. Then once I had graduated college, I decided that I wanted to explore getting LASIK. At this point, LASIK was past being an experimental procedure by any means. And even though it was still considered cosmetics and insurance would not cover it, they did cover, I want to say, at least $500. Not a drop in that really didn't cover much, but they were paying a small portion of what it cost to get the LASIK procedure. So in full transparency, when I say that I started to explore LASIK, I want to be very clear that I did not do a ton of research. Like, I didn't go super in-depth into it, but I did ask around because there were a number of folks that I knew who had done LASIK, and they all seemed to be pretty happy with the results. They all felt like it lasted a really long time. Some of them were still not wearing glasses, and the ones that had started wearing glasses again were like, yeah, I did this years ago. It's been like 20 years now, and it's only now that I need glasses just for reading. So that was the extent of my research, really. I did not spend a lot of time going into depth about it. And I found a chain, and that probably should have been a red flag, but I found a chain that did LASIK. You guys are probably familiar with it if you've even looked into LASIK Plus. And I felt like it was a good place to go because, I mean, that's literally all they do. All they do is LASIK. And thinking back now, hindsight is 2020, I have to admit that the interaction that I had at my first appointment wasn't necessarily the best in terms of customer service. So, like I said, I was interested in it. I kind of signed up for one of the info kind of sessions where you go in and they test you to see if you're even a candidate for the procedure. So I went in and I did the test, and honestly, I felt like I was being sold. Looking back now, again, hindsight is 2020. This was at least 6 years ago at this point. I felt like I was being sold because I decided that day, after doing that sort of initial test right there, that I was getting LASIK. And I think part of it is because, if I'm recalling correctly, it was like, if you decide that you're going to get it now, we're going to give you X discount. So the tactic was, we're going to tell you that we're going to give you a discount on LASIK so that you can commit to this today. And frankly, I should have like probably done a little bit more digging, but I probably would have done it anyway. Just to be honest, I was at that point ready to get my eyes done. I wanted to wear sunglasses really, really badly. I've said this before. Like 95% of the reason why I got LASIK was because I wanted to wear sunglasses. I love sunglasses. They're so cute. I have a pretty decent sized collection of sunglasses. And when you can't see, there's only so much that you can do when it comes to sunglasses. You could probably get prescription sunglasses, but who wants to pay for prescription lenses in 20 pairs of sunglasses? And then once your prescription changes, you have to change that out again? Ain't nobody got the time, and ain't nobody got the money. So like I said, I felt like I was being sold, and I probably should have thought a little bit more about it. But I was also already pretty gung-ho about the fact that I wanted to get LASIK. And when I went in and I did the test, they were like, yep, I'm a candidate for it. There were actually 2 procedures that they did. One was kind of like the baseline LASIK, and then there was a higher procedure for folks who had, I guess, worse eyes, or I don't even know what to call it, but depending on where you are, there was like a tier 1 and a tier 2 procedure for LASIK. They said that I was fine to do tier 1, and I was like, okie dokes, let's go. One of the interesting things about LASIK Plus, which is where I got my LASIK done, is that, like I said, it's a chain. So there's like a constant revolving door of people in and out getting this procedure done. And in totality, this is like a 10, maybe 15-minute procedure. So they are doing, I would assume, hundreds of people per day because it's such a short process overall. And in true, like, salesperson fashion, if you want to call it that, they actually live streamed the procedure, which I guess also contributed to me feeling okay, because you could watch what they were doing on Facebook. Very weird now that I think about it. But at the time I was like, oh, cool. You know, this sounds like a good plan. So I signed up for my LASIK. So let's just talk about how much it costs. So like I said, I'm pretty sure my insurance covered $250 to maybe $500 of the procedure. But overall, the cost to get LASIK done was $2,500 per eye. So in totality, it was $5,000 to get LASIK done on both of my eyes. And this was, like I said, about 6 years ago. So I'm going to assume inflation, costs have gone up. So if you are interested in it, I can't say for sure what the price is now, but that's how much I paid. An important thing to know about that price too, and about LASIK Plus, is that apparently, and this was again at that time, that came with a lifetime warranty. So I was just like, oh, great, that's awesome. But I didn't really register what that could mean. Like, why would I need a lifetime warranty if you're selling me a product that is intended to last at least 25 years? I was a little confused because I was like, I'm not supposed to be able to come back. But I didn't register it at that time. Thinking about it now, I'm like, why would I need a lifetime warranty? But essentially, it was sold as, if you do notice changes in your vision and you start to revert back, you can come back and get it touched up for free. They literally said touched up. Again, looking back now, not necessarily the greenest of flags, but at that point, I was like, okay, this is great, you know? It's some security that I can always come back and get it fixed. So, signed up for it, put the down payment down, whatever, went home. And when I tell y'all this was a quick process, as in like, let's say I went in this Friday to see if I was a candidate and just kind of inquire about the procedure, I was scheduled for the procedure the next Friday. That's how quick this happened. And I do feel like, looking back now, I was kind of sold and rushed into it a little bit, but that's neither here nor there anymore. So the Friday comes, it's time to go in for the procedure. You have to have somebody with you because you can't drive yourself home. Now, the procedure in totality, like I said, is about 10-15 minutes tops. Content warning, trigger warning. It might be a little bit graphic, so if you don't want to know what it's like, feel free to like exit out now or fast forward or whatever it is you need to do. So when you get in, the before you go in for your procedure, they give you basically like, I don't want to call it NyQuil, but it's pain, like over-the-counter pain meds that have sleeping aids in it. So like Advil PM. That might have been what they gave me actually. See, or like Tylenol PM. You get a pain medication that has a sleeping aid in it. And you take that before the procedure. So that after the procedure is done, you're supposed to like just go to sleep. So you take it and then you go in, you sit in this chair, bright lights everywhere. And I don't think it was necessarily intimidating, to be quite frank. And because they do it like a rotating door, like honestly, you don't really have a lot of time to get comfortable because it's so quick. So quick, you guys. So you get in, you go in, you sit in the chair, you know, and then the procedure starts. The first thing that I noticed is that there's like a clamp that's like holding your eyelids open, and then it kind of like pops out your eyeballs a little bit. Like your eyeballs are a little bit outside of their socket. Again, sorry if this is a little graphic, but that's what it's like. It's a little bit outside of the socket and there's a little bit of pressure. You feel a little bit of pressure. Then once you are like registering like, oh, are my eyes supposed to be there? Then, and mind you, this is a procedure on your eyes, so you see everything. There's no, you're not asleep, you're nothing, you're awake for everything. So you see the laser and then the process starts. And it was not painful. I did not feel any pain at all. Aside from the pressure of like how the clamp and everything worked, there was no pain. What did trigger me though was that as I am laying there and the laser is doing its thing, because to back up a little bit, they do explain the process to you. And the way in which it's explained is that if your vision, right, is going back to like Bio 101, basically there's like a bunch of these like lenses or layers to your eyeball, and it sort of concentrates light coming into the retina. And if those layers are mismatched, then the way in which the light hits your retina can either cause, you know, issues with like short-sightedness versus long-sightedness. That's very rudimentary explanation and probably slightly incorrect, but go with me here. So the way in which it's described is that they scrape off that sort of first layer of the eyes, and then they realign it so that it ensures that the light hits the retina correctly, so you don't have that misalignment that results in short-sightedness or long-sightedness. So that's how it was described in terms of how it works. The laser comes in, it scrapes off that initial layer, they move the layer to the right position so that you can see in 20/20 vision, and then they just kind of leave it there because the eye is self-healing. So there's no stitches, there's nothing touching your eye or anything like that. It's literally, we just scrape it off, puts it in the correct position, and then your eye is going to heal itself. Which to me was great. I was like, this is awesome sauce. You know, I don't have to worry about anybody digging in my eye or nothing like that. Sure, that sounds like a good time. So like I said, sitting in the chair, there's no pain, there's just a pressure. You can see the laser, you see that red light. And the thing that triggered me was the smell. But it was interesting in that once I registered the smell, it was done. Like, because it's a laser. It's a laser. So as they're lasering off the eyes, it's like, you know, it's burning it off. And you can smell it. And it smells like flesh burning. And I remember, like, getting the smell of the laser. And I was like, wait, what is that smell? And by the time I, like, was starting to panic, they were like, okay, and you're done. And I was like, wait, I'm done? It was weird. It was extremely weird because your brain, like my brain was so slow to connect the dots in terms of what was happening that by the time it did connect the dots, it was like, thank you for, you know, coming today and you're off. So the procedure, like I said, in total was about 10 minutes. By the time I was done, when you can see immediately after. Like, it's not necessarily the clearest sight, but you don't necessarily have to like have like blackout glasses or anything like that. So my sister took me home, because she's the one that came with me. So once the procedure is done, that's by the time the procedure is done, that nighttime, like the Advil PM was really kicking in, so you started feeling a little bit drowsy. So, and they tell you to walk with like sunglasses so that you can put that on, so because you're sensitive to light. So by the time the procedure was done, my sister had picked me up, went home, and literally went straight to sleep, because at that point the Advil PM or Tylenol PM or whatever PM thing they gave me had kicked in. So went to sleep and wasn't in any pain. Like, I want to be clear, like, the procedure is not painful at all. There was no pain. Some discomfort, yes, but no pain. So with the Advil or whatever, it turned out to be a nap, essentially. And then I woke up and it was like, voila, I can see. I do think that I might have had some oral antibiotics that I needed to take, but I don't remember, clearly. This was 6 years ago, you guys. So there might have been some oral antibiotics for like the healing and to prevent infection or whatever, but that probably was it. Now, healing itself was like a week-long process, so it was also very, very quick, which is something that I appreciated about the LASIK process, is that in like totality, it's very quick from start to finish. It's like a 2-week process. And like I said, you can see immediately after the procedure is done. So by the time I went home, took a nap, and I woke up from that nap after the drowsiness of that Advil or whatever had worn off, like, my brain, again, my brain was working really slowly. I'm so used to not being able to see that, like, I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I was like, whoa, that's me. Like, that's what I look like. It is an unbelievably wild thing to not know what you look like that clearly, because you've been wearing glasses all of your life. So I always see myself as somebody, or had seen myself as somebody with glasses, and then, you know, when I didn't have my glasses on, it was just like the way I saw myself was a lot blurrier. So this was the first time I saw myself clearly, and I was like, whoa. And mind you, this is like hours after the procedure, and you see immediately. It's just like magic. So even though I could see immediately, my eyes were still healing, obviously. This was always after the procedure, and for days after the procedure, your eyes are still healing. So for the healing process, what they essentially do is, like I said, I think they give you antibiotics, but they also give you a cover for your eyes, so that when you sleep, you don't scratch your eyes, or you don't do anything to mess up the alignment. Because even though I could see right away, and it wasn't painful, there was discomfort, because it felt like there was sand in my eyes for like 3 days straight. For like 3 days, it felt like I had sand perpetually in my eyes. And I was unbelievably sensitive to light. Like, I could not see without wearing sunglasses because I was so sensitive to light. So for a couple of days, I had to wear sunglasses, even while indoors. So I would go to work, because didn't necessarily take time off of work because they said you didn't need to. But so I would go to work and I would be at my computer desk with sunglasses on because like the LED lights were too bright. It was just so funny. Cause I remember my boss being like, are you okay? Do you why are you wearing sunglasses inside? And I'm like, hey, I got LASIK. You know, my eyes are just super sensitive to the lights right now. So I had to wear sunglasses indoors, outdoors for a couple of days because it was just so sensitive. But after a week, I was fine. I was healed. There was no sort of discomfort or like sandy feeling in my eyes anymore. I could see perfectly fine. I did not need glasses. My eyes weren't dry or anything like that. It was just like, this is how the world looks to everybody else. And I absolutely loved it. So let's get to where things turned left. So for about the first year of me having LASIK done, everything was great. I could see perfectly fine. I didn't need anything. And like I said, I had no sort of side effects or residual effects from LASIK. I know for some people, LASIK causes dry eye and they do have issues. Obviously, even though it is a pretty simple and pretty common procedure, as with everything, there is the chance of there being complications and things going wrong. But for me, I just want to say I didn't have any complications. I didn't feel like anything went wrong. However, about 2 years into me having done the procedure, I was driving at night and I was like, what's going on? The lights are a little bit blurry. It's a little bit harder to see. And I was just a little confused because I was like having difficulty seeing, you know, and I was like, this shouldn't happen. I have like 20/20 vision now. So I ended up going in to get my eyes tested. And this is like 2-3 years later, maybe. And they were like, yeah, you know, here's your prescription now. Like, basically, you need glasses again. And mind you, I went to get my eyes tested at a regular optometrist. And I was like, what you mean? I got LASIK like 2-3 years ago. There's absolutely no way I should need glasses, because everything you read, everything everybody said was that this will last you at least 20 years before you need to like actually get glasses, and at best you would need like reading glasses. And she was like, yeah. Now granted, my first prescription was not as bad as like what my eyes were when I originally had LASIK done. So what this optometrist explained to me was that with LASIK, there is a chance that your eyes can revert back. I had not seen that anywhere. I had not read that anywhere. And they didn't even say that when I got my, when I went to get my eyes done. They didn't even talk about revisions. And I was like, what do you mean? I didn't know that your eyes could revert back. And she was like, yeah, basically, if your eyes aren't done with whatever it is they were doing, like being farsighted or nearsighted, they can continue to like revert. So what's happening is essentially my eyes are continuing to progressively decline as they would have done without getting LASIK. And I was like, so I have to wear glasses again? And she's like, yeah, pretty much. So my first prescription, I had glasses. For the most part, I wore it only to drive because I was still okay to like see without it. And then I went back a year later to get my eyes tested again, because you're supposed to get it done every year. And then my eyes had gotten progressively worse again. So at that point, I was like, are you serious? And at that point, I could feel my eyes getting progressively worse, because it got harder to do like very specific things. And I found myself wearing my glasses more often. So I talked to my optometrist about it, and I was like, basically, so is this just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse? And she's like, it can continue to progress. Like, there's nothing wrong with like the health of your eye, but this could result in it reverting back to where it was when you started. Now, granted, I would still argue that my eyes are still better than what it was when I did LASIK the first time. So there is some improvement, but I still have to wear glasses. And I don't know if part of that is driven by the fact that I am on a computer all day. That's what I do for work. I edit, I create content, all of this. So I don't know if that's contributing to the issues that I'm having with my eyes, but it is what it is. So one of the things that I did talk with her about was, you know, I have this lifetime warranty. Should I go back and get it touched up? So the first time I brought it up, she was like, well, your eyes aren't that bad. So going back to get it touched up at this point would be a little bit of a waste. And if your eyes do continue to revert, like, you don't want to continue going to get it touched up again and again and again and again. So basically she was like, I wouldn't recommend that you go get it touched up. I would recommend that you give it a few years, continue to watch, see how far it continues to decline. And if it gets really bad, the way it feels like it's like back where you started, then I would consider getting it touched up. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll just leave it for now. Wait, I didn't do bronzer, but it's okay. Oh, this is highly perfumed. Yeah, there's a lot of fragrance in this, so if you're sensitive, just be careful. But I love the finish of this. Okay, so like I was saying, I'd gone back to the optometrist the first time, and she was like, I don't think you should do it right away. Like, your eyes have not gotten that, or your eyes aren't that bad that they would require you getting it touched up. Went back the second time, it had progressed, and she was like, you know, I still think you should wait. And then there was like a bit of a lag. So like I said, I haven't been to the optometrist in about 2 years. So I went there earlier this week to get my eyes tested again. And part of that is because one, I missed, I'm supposed to get it tested every year. And then also, I could feel one of my eyes straining a little bit harder with my current glasses. So I was like, great, it's gotten worse. So I went in, got tested. Turns out my left eye has declined again, but my right eye is still the same. So I was talking to the optometrist again, and, I was asking her, like, should I get it touched up again? And one thing that she explained to me is that the more you get your eyes touched up, or if you were to go back and get it done, essentially, I run the risk of complications. The more times you mess with your eye, the increased likelihood for complications. And what she specifically felt like I'd be at a greater risk for is dry eyes. So she basically said she did not think that it was worth it for me to get it touched up. No or ever. So just for some context, and I think I said this at the beginning, there is like a history of eye disease in my family, both immediate and outside. Most of the people in my family wear glasses. So it's not exactly like we have the best eyesight, but there's history of retinal detachment, long-sightedness, short-sightedness, all of that. Everybody got something with their eyes. So it could be that just genetically speaking, I'm not meant to have great eyesight. So that could be one part of it. And like she said, because my eyes had regressed this time, there's no guarantee that the second time it would take. Like, I could be in the same situation where it would last for at least 2 years or less, and then start reverting again, and then I'm back in the same position. So the risk of going through that procedure again, granted it was simple, there was no pain, the risk of doing that again would not necessarily be worth it for me. And quite frankly, when I did it with the intention of doing it once. I had no interest in going back and getting my eyes done multiple times, even though I had been told there's this lifetime warranty. I wanted it to be a one and done procedure. And to be quite frank, I felt like I was sold a one and done procedure. So to have issues with revision and to have issues with worsening eyesight this quickly, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, I expected to eventually have issues with eyesight, but at least a decade later, I was not thinking 2-3 years later I would be back wearing glasses after spending $5,000. That was not where I had thought that this was going to end up. And the other thing she said to me is that she's not necessarily a fan of Lasik Plus. And what she explained is that, Lasik Plus and those sort of chain retailers, if you want to call them that, they don't necessarily do a good job of weeding out people that are likely not the best candidates for the procedure, because for them it's like more about quantity and how many people they can get in and out. And I see that looking back now and thinking about how kind of rushed the process was, and how this is literally all that they do, and they keep churning out people in this process every 10-15 minutes. So like, really, if like you do the math and think about like every 15 minutes somebody's getting LASIK, and that person is paying, I want to say at a minimum $5,000, because like I said, I was at the base tier and my eyes weren't necessarily the worst. So if you have like a higher prescription than I did, chances are it was going to cost you more. So every 15 minutes, that's what they were pumping out. And it's just wild to me. Just insane. Because that's at least $20,000 per hour. So, like I said, she was telling me that she's not a huge fan of, these chain retailers that do the procedures, because they don't do a great job at weeding out people that are not necessarily the best candidates. And looking back now, I guess I could like see that. Because one of the things too that they sell you on when you go in to do the procedure is that this is all that they do. LASIK is literally all that they do. And because it is all that they do, their doctors, I guess their surgeons, have all of this experience and expertise, because if you're doing the same procedure 20 times a day, that's the doctor that you want to do it on you, right? But, you know, there's also something to not wanting or having healthcare be an assembly line or feel like an assembly line where it's just like one person in, one person out, one person. So, you know, looking back, no. Do I regret it? No, I don't. You know, like I'm complaining to y'all now, and I'm giving y'all the tea and the real truth about it. I don't regret it, because one thing I will say is that my eyes are still better than what it was pre-LASIK. So there is still some improvement, and I have not completely regressed. So I don't completely regret it, but I do think that I was not as informed as I should have been going into this procedure. And I definitely did not get, in my opinion, my money's worth. Okay, last step, I'm going to just dust the Grwm pearls. There's a little bit on there. Okay, let me throw on some mascara, fix my hair, and then I'll come back and wrap up this video. Okay, so this is the final look. I'm really happy with how simple this is. But just, yeah, let me quickly wrap up my thoughts, because this got a lot longer than I wanted / needed it to be. So, like I was saying, I don't regret getting LASIK necessarily, but I will say that I am disappointed with the results and the outcome. I had hoped that this would last a lot longer. Honestly, if it was 10 years versus 20, I'd have been fine with that, but the fact that it lasted 2-3 years tops kind of grinds my gears, because I was looking for more, and considering how much I had spent to get it done, I was expecting more, just saying. In terms of the process and the procedure, it was quick and easy. It did not hurt or anything like that, at least for me. And I didn't have any real adverse side effects. One thing that I know is a potential is like sensitive or dry eyes. I didn't have anything like that when it comes to my procedure. One thing I will say is that if you are considering LASIK, definitely, one, speak with your regular optometrist before you go to like one of those chain LASIK places, and consider going to not a chain place, and someone that might not, where you might not feel as rushed or like pushed or sold into buying the procedure. Also, definitely, I say do your research, ask all of the questions, and provide as much information as you can about like your family history, your history with eye disease, so that they can really assess if you're a good candidate for the procedure or not, because it just might not be worth it if you're gonna like revert back to what it was anyway. So as of right now, my eyes are still technically better than what they were when I initially got it done, but this is like 5 years in, 6 years in, I would say. So I'm going to assume that it might continue to progress and get worse, but I'm just gonna enjoy it for what it is right now. You know, the money's not gonna come back. That's what it boils down to, is I'm never gonna get that money back. It is what it is. So I just have to live with it. I thought it would just be helpful to share my story, because I don't think that I see a lot of people talking about how LASIK did not work for them, and I wanted to share what my experience was. Okay, that's it. Let me quickly tell you guys how I feel about all of the products. The quad, really nice. This is a great everyday quad. Is the formula special? No, it's not. It's a basic quad. It is what it is. But I don't mind it. I actually quite like it. The blush, love this blush. This is actually really nice. I am interested in getting more of the colors from the line, because I had a lot of fun with this blush. Now, I will say it is very heavily scented though. I was like sneezing and sniffling through applying this blush. So if you are sensitive to fragrance, whether that be because it breaks you out or like just the smell might give you a headache, you might not want to get that. Speaking of fragrance too, the Grwm Meteorites, those are also very heavily fragranced. So like as a line, damn, they put a lot of perfume, a lot of fragrance in their products. The quad had nothing in it, but the blush and the Meteorites, definitely. So something to consider. But I've been using this for some time now, and I actually really like it. So I can't complain about it, and I don't mind the fragrance, even though it's a bit of an old granny fragrance. I really like it. The last thing that I want to mention is that for my lips, I did go in with the Mez Beauty Gloss. This is an existing color, but what they've done is they've actually changed it so that there is a bigger doe foot, so that it's just quicker, easier, more comfortable to apply onto the lip. I love this larger doe foot, so this is what I'm wearing with just a basic brown liner, and I think it creates a really natural lip. So that's it for this face. As always, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's Chatty Get Ready with me. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and while you're doing so, let me know down in the comments below, have you ever got LASIK? Have you considered getting LASIK? If you did get LASIK before, let me know what your experience is or was with the process and how your eyes are now, if you're comfortable sharing. And if you are considering getting it, you know, ask your questions down in the comments below. I'm sure myself or others can help or provide a little bit of context based on our experience. As always, I appreciate you guys so much more than you know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.